And we're live. What's up? We are here for another amazing episode, just going live on Binance. Thank y'all for being so patient. I was not getting a mani penny. I was actually preparing for this episode. We're going to go a little more, slightly more philosophical today as we examine just exactly what's going on with altcoins. People are saying they're crashing. What's happening? Guys, it's astounding some of the things that I'm hearing out there, and we are staying cool, calm, and collected on this channel because we have some of the best mentors and analysts in this entire space, and we're not losing our cool in this one. We are just, just doing our thing, going along, looking at the charts, and getting prepared. That's what we're doing. We are prepared for these moves before they happen. I'm just going live on Binance so we can join our Binance fam. And guys, what's up? Today, what we are going to cover is the question on everyone's mind. Why are altcoins crashing? How long will they crash? How far? But yet Bitcoin is still sort of holding strong. Why hasn't it rolled over in these past couple of days? We're going to go over that, and we're also going to go over, the whole buy the dip or wait scenario, the strategy behind this. And yes, we are going to go into a little bit of, I want to say like philosophy about what's actually happening in the market dynamics, just so you have it clear, because there's a lot of noise out there and a lot of things happening that can sort of throw you off your game. And remember what we say, NFA, not the time to fumble. No fumbling allowed. Okay, so we're going to get it right as right as we can anyway, based on what the charts is saying here on this chat, and also talk news and long-term investment strategy. I am so happy to be here with you this Thursday. Welcome to the show. We're here with Trip from Capital Mindset each and every day, Monday through Friday. We're trying to pick one time. We will get there. We're thinking about 12 p.m. EST. So let's say hello to everybody who's in the chat. Andrew, first, you're always there. We can always count on you, man. A-Team Assemble. I'm a nerd who is hyped for Fantastic Four, so I'm all about Marvel. Okay, so that comes from Marvel. I love Marvel. A-Team sounds amazing. We have to come up with a name for this chat now, and then we have to support each other, right? Like I said before, we should get Austin on. We should do some kind of stuff with Austin. Let's see. Skull, Realized Bear, Assemble. We shall, A-Team. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. So who are you? Like, what superhero are you in the Marvel-verse? And who would I be? Who would Trip be? I want to know. I want to know what you guys think. What's up, BP Kolar? All the regulars in the house. I'd love to see it. Evan Rogers, what up? What up? Andrew Diamond Hands, yeah, baby. 808 Mimi's, haha. Andrew, what's up? You are always here to support us too, as well as Chris. Lots of love. Did you join this trading group? Who are you asking? 808 Mimi's. We've had a lot of new members sign up lately, and we are so happy to have you all on board. Now is the time. Now is the time. One step away from potentially changing your life forever. And I mean that, and it is not an exaggeration. Chris, can't wait for today's show with Trip the Legend. That's right. Trip is a legend. A-Team, okay, here we go. Here's the Manny Petty comment. Guys, we're just getting things going in the background to make sure we can have as good of a show as possible for you. We get a lot of questions from our group and from private members and things that we want to touch on just to make sure we're all on the same page. So yeah, all the A-Team is here. Copy, says Evan. Yep. Good to support the channel. Yeah, thank you guys for supporting. I'm going to pop these comments up on the screen before I forget. Christina, what's up? Welcome to the show. Skull has not joined yet, but we'll look into it when he gets a chance. Yes, do that, Realized Bear. You're not going to regret it, and we're going to have a lot of fun and be very successful in the process. We will assure you. I mean, we'll make sure that you have the tools to be successful, right? That is the whole point here. Raw Food Writer, let's go. Morning, Jack. Morning. Oh, there's the skull. I like it. I need something to cheers you with, though. I can't just say it and not have something to drink. All I have is my fancy water, according to Trip. Meg Team. All right. Megan Trip, what's up? Hi, Pipeline. Air Scent. You are new here, no? Haven't seen you here before. Waiting for my paycheck. All right. That is the spirit. Put that hard working money into something that is investing in yourself. Don't inflate your dollars away or put it in your savings account. Like, make it grow, and just dive right into this wonderful world. And we're here for you. So yeah, we're waiting here for you. 808 Mimi's Pipeline. Hit the like button. Yes, please hit the like button. Share this with as many people as possible, because we got a lot of good stuff for you guys. And mainly just back to this question about, man, okay, I'm going to be real with you guys for a minute. I'm in a lot of chats, okay? And a lot of chats with big YouTubers and influencers and big people in the crypto space. And it is astounding to me to see the number of people like that who are saying that alt season is dead, that's it, that we've already topped for this cycle even. Really, it just, I don't know where they're getting their information, or we've not said that on this channel, and we really want to give it to you like it is, right? This isn't like I'm going to hype you to the moon. No, Trip really keeps it really level headed. I like to keep you zoomed out and thinking about the bigger picture, but it's astounding to me to see how many people are like that right now. And to me, it's just not the right sentiment. It doesn't coincide with what the charts say. And it's very strange to see. So we're going to go over like what exactly is happening with Bitcoin dominance. Why is Bitcoin more or less keep remaining neutral while altcoins are correcting? And what is that correlation now? How is it different to previous cycles? We're just going to get into that a little bit so you guys understand the flow here, right? And then we're going to have a look at some altcoins and some key levels. Some of your favorites, we've got HBAR, XRP, and TFUEL. So Theta gang, if you're in the house, you've been asking about TFUEL a lot. TFUEL could potentially be a lower cap gem that could surprise a lot of people. In fact, I put up a thing by Mitch Liu yesterday, which I'm going to try to find again for when we get to that point. But I think TFUEL could do very well. So Jack says crypto G's are burned out, consume too much hype. Yeah, man, I don't know what it is, but I just sort of silent lurk, I don't say much, but I look at it and I'm like, man, how do these people have this vision? And there's also headlines that Trip and I see. I'm going to put up a few for you now. We saw this one not too long ago here. It says, Ethereum and XRP slide amid broader market correction without a clear catalyst. How could this have happened? What's going on? I mean, like, first of all, we always say, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news, right? But second of all, I mean, the catalyst, we've been talking about it for a very long time on this channel. I mean, we started these lives 2 weeks ago, now 2 weeks and change. We've been saying, it's all about Bitcoin dominance. And we've been watching for that Bitcoin dominance to start pumping. And so it's kind of astounding that the broader news channels just choose this sort of stuff to report on and pick up and report that as like the end all be all of the news, right? And the level of bearishness, it just is disproportionate to where we're at in this cycle. Sorry, I'm still trying to get a hold of how this works. I'm bouncing all over the place. But yeah, so just hearing them say, man, alts are dead. I don't think we're getting a real altcoin season. And every time we crash, I mean, they're back. They come out of the woodwork and they're like, see, alts are dead. They're dying. And it's like, oh, man, like we want to give it to you how it is on this channel and just help you stay grounded in your decisions, because we cannot get this wrong. We want to have as much chance as possible to nail this and get this right this time, right? So that's what we're here for. We're here to just keep it real with you. So yeah, AirSent, one retrace after a multi-day pump is quite normal. Absolutely. Let's be a little more rational about what's happening. A lot of new people in crypto. Yeah, I know that. But I'm talking about the OGs. These are the OGs that I'm in chats with. And they're saying this, not all of them, but a lot of them, or some of them anyway, which is more than there should be. It's just astounding to me. Watchman, what's up? He's always having a party. I like your vibe, Watchman. Sending vibes. Will you be at Rare Evo Ghost Chain? Oh, man, I really wish I could. I never say never. There have been days where actually I've like literally flown to New York the next day from Spain. That's how my life is. I could say I won't be there, but then I might. Just never know with me. But that's the exciting, wonderful world of crypto. Thank you for pointing this out, Megan. I don't mind that the OGs want out, but it concerns me when they tell people don't bother. Yeah, it's sort of a weird sentiment, and it puts me in a weird space with my vibes, right? Like when I read that in the chat and things, and I'm just like, no, like I don't want that to influence me, and I don't know. I am an internal optimist. I do see this space very long term, and I have my long term bags. But at the same time, I'm also in the group with Trip and talking to him every single day, who's one of the most talented analysts in this entire space, as well as all of our other lead admins. And I'm just not seeing that, and I don't like that to cloud my judgment. And I really want you guys to see the truth. And just see what the charts are showing. So that's why I'm so glad we can have Trip on for these sessions and really talk it through together, right? Disillusioned, right, as widespread adoption is happening. Sad. Yeah, man. I mean, like Bitcoin's at all-time high and people are at all-time lows sentiment-wise. And I think it's because maybe a lot of them bought last cycle, they round-tripped, and then maybe a lot more of them bought in November and have gone all the way back down since then, this past November when we had the, mini altcoin pump, right? So I think that they're disillusioned because Bitcoin is going up disproportionately over that amount of time than the altcoins. And so it's sort of this weird sentiment of we're in the middle of the bull run. Bitcoin's at an all-time high. Macroeconomics couldn't be more bullish, but people haven't really made that much money, or some of them who aren't following the right channels. And who just don't have a long enough term vision, right? They're just very like instant gratification. Anyway, long story short, we must have patience. We are right there. We are on the verge of something huge. I mean, this cycle is like nothing we've ever seen before. And I don't want us to lose sight of that. So that's what we're here to talk about today, guys. And on that note, I'm going to put one more thing up here from Chris Burnt. I don't know how to say his name, Bernisk. Blockchains are unapologetically superior to TradFi's creaky infrastructure, and all of finance is now seeing the writing on the wall. Couldn't have said it better myself, right? Like old, tired systems. What we don't want is the old, tired systems with better technology. We want new systems with better technology, hence the anti-CBDC and all of those things. Like we want to phase out that old time and stuff that no longer serves us, and there are much better ways to do things now. So our lives are not only going to be better because productivity will be higher. We are the boomers of our generation, right? The ones that got to buy a house for next to nothing and then watch the next generation sort of be like, wow, you're so lucky. We're the lucky ones with blockchain, and that is exponentially more opportunity than the boomers had with the housing and all that. I'll tell you that much. So we're in a very, very privileged position indeed. Okay, that's all I want to do. I like to set the mindset, get it straight before we get Trip on going with the charts and hear what Trip has to say about all this stuff. But Watchmen, I'm not sure what that is there. Scalpinator. Okay. Okay, so Trip, now that I've like sort of put all this out on the table, what are your thoughts? I mean, about just the title in general, where we're at in the market. I mean, talk to us a little bit here.
Right. So like it was very easy to see on dominance that we were looking at, right? That we had a huge rollover, right? So a huge move to the downside. It was very oversold on many time frames at the same time too. So to get a bounce that we've just had was completely normal and expected. The 1 week 50 MA has been support for, I mean, a long time. We're going to go over that chart in a second, but we just retested that support again. Bitcoin dominance at a 0.5 retrace on the chart if you're using fibs. The pattern that we were looking at broke to the downside, and now it's doing a bearish retest. So when you think about that move that we had to the downside and how big it was, we've only retraced about a third of that move to the upside, and everybody's panicking already. So you have to remember that we were just blessed with a great little run up, and now this tiny little pullback is making everybody run into the shadows again. So it just doesn't make sense to me, really. When you look at the charts, it just, for me, it's plain as day what's going on. And these are just normal, natural movements. Somebody in the chat already said that. What was it? One retrace after a multi-day pump is quite normal. That's exactly right. Like nothing has really changed on the big picture. Retraces are going to happen on the way up. A lot of people that have been holding altcoins for a long period of time finally made some profit on altcoins and probably took that profit. So when everybody's doing the same thing, you're going to see a sell-off, and it's going to cascade in one direction or another. So yeah, in my opinion, this is just another day in crypto. Nothing has been changed at all.
Yeah, I agree with you, Trip. And I'm just laughing because I'm reading the air sent comment here. Hey, lay off us boomers. And I think that's funny because I'm actually like in awe of the boomer opportunity, and the fact that you're here and you're saying you're a boomer and you got to take advantage of buying those houses for next to nothing, of all of the things that came up during your generation, and now you're here for a second opportunity like this. Wow, I mean, that is astounding. That is very cool. So kudos to you for being here in this chat and paying attention and being on the ball for round two, because round two is going to be even bigger and better and more explosive than round one, because why? We have things to back that up. Because the first catalyst for the first big boom in society were three powerful technologies that have nothing to do with the five that are now converging, which is AI, robotics, crypto, multi-omic sequencing, all of that stuff happening all at once. So that's why this time is going to be even crazier than that first time around. And it's really exciting. So I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm so glad you're here in the chat. And Andrew here says, I'm sorry, but I was laughing at the freakouts yesterday. My mindset was first time. Yeah, it's just a very weird sentiment, very flip-floppy. It's almost as if so many people have massive PTSD, which is like understandable if you didn't have the right guidance last cycle and you did end up round tripping all of it. And now you're just sort of waiting to offload your bags. But yeah, BP Cola or Trip is the man. I agree. Boomer sucks. Beta investor. He's laughing though. So I don't know if you are one or you don't. Look, I'm just happy that any boomer is even thinking about this, right? Like this is the place to be right now, right here. Like, I don't care about the sensationalism, the hype. I'm like I said, I am very optimistic about the future, and that'll never die. But I like how Trip can ground us, show us this in the charts, and just we can be prepared for those moves. We can come with our boxing gloves on instead of being blindsided, right? That's it. We're just ready for it. So don't forget quantum computing. Yes, although that's a talk for another day, because I think as fast as quantum computing might come, so will the solutions. So that's sort of my thoughts on that. But that's a whole episode in itself. And we have realized pair. The percent swings in crypto really does take some time to get used to compared to TradFi. Oh, absolutely. But in some way, I feel like maybe if you're new, it's almost better, because when I first invested, I sort of like mapped it all out. I looked at what I wanted to invest in. I had a thesis, I had a plan, and I sort of just bought it as a long-term investor and let it sit. And I didn't have all of these emotions of like following YouTube every day. And my favorite YouTubers are suddenly bearish saying altcoin season is not going to happen. I just like let it go and was in it for the long haul, right? And so it was a lot simpler in a lot of ways. So I think it's like getting complicated, and there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise out there. So yeah, people love how fast it runs up, but hate how much it swings down. Oh yeah, you've got to stomach those swings for these exponential gains. We all know that. We're being patient and cool, calm, and collected. That's it. Right, Trip? What do you have to add to that?
Yeah, that's really it. It's just like I pay attention to the charts more than anything. I try to even just drown out the news. I don't like to follow the hype. I've seen the charts do everything you can imagine. So I'm instead of just looking for the bullish scenario in every case, I always try to find an equivalent bearish scenario. And I was just thinking about this last night. Like, I wonder how many people think this way when you're looking at a chart. I usually add up all of my bullish ideas, and I usually get to a number. It's like, okay, this has 13 bullish ideas that I can find on the chart. And then I add up all the bearish ideas of like, how could this go wrong? So instead of just looking at a chart and saying all the ways that this could work out, you have to find an equal, or try to find an equivalent amount of ways that it could fail just the same. The way I do this, it usually just gives me a number at the end. After I've done all this analysis, I'll usually say, okay, well, the chart is 65% bearish and maybe 35%, sorry, 65% bullish and 35% bearish. So that's the number that I get to after doing all the analysis. So when you look at all the different time frames, you look at all the different indicators, you'll eventually just come down to two numbers, and it's that percentage base. How bullish is it? How bearish is it? So right now, I don't see a whole lot of bearish ideas except for what already happened. And that's just one of the few bearish ideas, but it has to contend with all the other bullish ideas that are behind it. So really, it's just a numbers game to me, and it's just like repetition of what I've seen before and how many times the market can try to screw you over and trick everybody. I look for the tricks. And when you start looking for the ways the market can trick you, you start to feel a little more bulletproof when those events actually happen.
Right. No, absolutely. I think it's a good way to break it down, and also to have your strategy right and understand. Like, the thought as a trader too is like, what is everybody else seeing? What is everybody else looking at? That's part of the analysis. And so I think also having your thought process there and your strategy and your sort of thesis on this market, right? Like, Bitcoin is essentially the store of value, and now it's becoming a place where you can actually get yield and you can leverage against and stuff like that. But so a lot of whales are trading altcoins. Trip and I discussed this earlier, and this is sort of the thought, are trading altcoins to get more Bitcoin, right? They're using them as a vehicle to grow their wealth to then put it back into Bitcoin. A lot of long-term investors are invested in altcoins that they believe could potentially become the softwares, like the winning softwares of this layer of the internet, right? Or at least that's sort of the thought process there. The next horse is to win the .com race, only this is the blockchain race, right? Like, what are those companies that are going to disrupt everything? But have it clear what your strategy is and what your long-term goal is. And I think that'll help a lot in your vision and long-term conviction for this space, and the way that you approach it and the way that you trade, the way you invest, and all of that. So yeah, just a little bit of a sort of pep talk here to get the mentality situated. Did you have anything to add to that, Trip, or should we jump into the charts?
Yeah, I think the charts are going to help at this point. there's a lot of things you can speculate on, but what you said there about altcoins being a vehicle to gain more Bitcoin, it's the same as Bitcoin being a vehicle to gain more dollars. There's just another tool to gain more of something. So the whales, they could have just been loving this past little run up, but their only goal could have been just to be, well, I could double my Bitcoin if I trade this altcoin. So it could be that simple, right? It doesn't have to be all the complicated of like, oh, this coin is garbage, altcoin season's ending. These are just momentary moves that are happening on a day-to-day basis. So I don't think they change the entire structure of the market when these events happen.
Right, and that's the zoom out part. The look at the higher time frame chart, and then zoom in if you're trying to look for an entry or trying to, like, it's all about like situating yourself, getting that perspective, finding the confluence, right, across all different time frames and indicators and things like that. So you have Midas Mindset here. Oh, also, I wanted to shout you out, Midas. You said first time here and vibes are immaculate. Hey, man, much appreciated. And you are so welcome because we love those positive vibes here on this channel. Also, most TradFi isn't pumping like XLM 100% past month. Of course, it's going to swing down that much lower. So you're talking about the fluctuations in the market and things like that, right? Like, yeah. I mean, we just have to. Part of this game is volatility, and the other part is being prepared for it, knowing what to look at, and knowing the levels that we want to get it at, whether it's bullish or bearish. I mean, all of that put together helps you solve this puzzle, right? They're like puzzle pieces, and that's what Trip is here to help us do. So on that note, let's go ahead and pull up your charts, Trip, and get right into it. And let's see just exactly what is going on with dominance, which is sort of driving this ship right now and stealing the show.
Right. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance on the 12-hour chart. The first thing that we're looking at is this topping pattern. It's an inverse Adam and Eve double top. Usually starts with a more pointed top on the first side and then a more rounded top on the second side. And then once we broke down from that pattern, we tested the 1 week 50 SMA and the 0.5 fib level at pretty much the same level here. So this was a confluence area for support to see this bounce that we got. But now we're still looking for a bearish retest of the inverse Adam and Eve neckline at this resistance, and that's at about 62%. So we talked about this just recently in our previous lives as well, that we could see a bearish retest. There is a chance we're going to get an oversold bounce, and now it's happening. The same way we were able to say that a big rollover could be coming was because we were looking at this chart on Bitcoin dominance. So it wasn't that I was speculating or trying to guess what was going to happen. I was clearly just reading what was happening here and what's supposed to happen as far as TA is concerned. So again, we'll talk about that overbought with bearish divergence on the weekly. And we said, if this plays out, we're going to get a sharp move to the downside, especially if you lose that point of control, because then this little move above it turns into a bull trap. Usually what happens after a bull trap is you get really quick selling in the opposite direction. So this is exactly what's been playing out. It's not a big surprise. When you have a plan like this, it really helps to manage your altcoin trades. You know that if you're getting towards a support on dominance and you've already made profit during this move to the downside, then it just means it's time to take profits, and now you get to compound and wait for the next trade. So right now, the market conditions aren't the greatest. I wouldn't be trying to jump into all the altcoins and setups, trying to just buy the dip. We're going to do the same thing that we normally do. We're going to wait for structures and patterns, maybe some divergence and oversold indicators, something else telling us besides a gut feeling about how you should trade this pullback.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's just it helps you like not lose money, like, manage your risk and just waiting for those good trades, waiting for the market to come to you, waiting for the trade to come to you. Long-term investing is different. Maybe you average in on all the dips and that's totally fine. And that's simple. But as far as trading goes, yeah, I like your point there, Trip.
Right. So right now we have to see if this bearish retest is going to confirm. We've already got a huge wick. I can zoom in a little bit more here. So usually when you see a long wick at the top of a move, it means that you're potentially going to get a pullback in the opposite direction. So we've already seen this big wick be printed, and now we're expecting that the trend could continue back down to the downside. Maybe we retest the 50 SMA again locally. There's a chance that we could see another structure form here, like a double bottom, and then keep going back up. So from here, we don't have a ton of data to trade yet. And that's the whole point, is that we want to see something that we can trade with a high success rate. Right now, now, it looks like it's going in the right direction. This is a good move so far from dominance. We want to get this bearish retest out of the way and see more downtrend continuation. So right now, it just looks like you've got your first move. Everybody got excited. We made a bunch of money, and then everybody took their profits. And now we're waiting for that next opportunity. And that's really the only way I see it as far as dominance goes.
Right. So it's sort of been like you want to really narrow into what dominance is doing in order to make better decisions on getting into trades. And that is what we've been keeping people updated on here in the YouTube channel and in the group. But we've been very consistent in our message and where we're at in the market, and what it's time to get prepared for next, right? So we're just focused. We're very focused right now, and we are prepping for that next move, as all of you should be in the chat. So I hope that you're laser focused and you're ready to go off the grid as much as you need to potentially change your life in a very big way. So I'll just remind all those who are new here. This is Trip, our lead analyst from the Capital Mindset Trading Group, who could jump on here every day, Monday through Friday, do these lives and walk us through and help us navigate these markets. And we've got the link in the description. You get a 10% off for being part of the crypto making community to sign up to our trading group, and for less than the price of a cup of coffee per day. Especially if you have a Starbucks coffee here in your house for 60 cents, like I do, instead of like $10 in some regions of the world, or even more, like $20 in Vegas. So yeah, I just want to remind you guys, okay? And then let's have a look now, zoom out. Let's check this chart out again.
Right. So the Bitcoin 1 week chart, excuse me, it hasn't changed a whole lot, right? So we mentioned that as well, that because it's a 1 week chart, it's going to take a long time for this for these candles to be built while it's holding the support, and we're looking for that break above the 1.272. So it could be a little bit of time. We could see a week or 2 weeks for this to happen, or for it to at least choose a direction. But nothing has changed on Bitcoin. So imagine that dip had happened while Bitcoin broke below this trend line. Then it's a worrisome scenario because the leader is now showing some weakness. But when you compare to what happened to where Bitcoin is now, we're going to go to the 2-hour chart. It's been moving completely sideways. So how come Bitcoin didn't move, but the altcoins changed so much seemingly? And it's because the market cap of Bitcoin is massive. So when you're talking about these small little moves that are going in and out here, this is really, if you looked at the dominance chart, I don't have the measurement up here anymore. Let's see if I can put that back in. Just from this bottom to, at the time, it was this top. So at the time when I looked at it, it said 4.13 T, and these are measured in Satoshis. So when you break it down into Bitcoin, it was actually 41,500 Bitcoin at the time. So that's how much Bitcoin volume was exchanged from altcoins into Bitcoin on this pump. So when you think, again, the size of Bitcoin's market cap, $5 billion out of the 2-point-something trillion dollar market cap that it is, that equates to about a 0.2% move on the Bitcoin chart. So then you look at the Bitcoin chart and see what it did, and it's like, yeah, that's nothing. How much has it moved here, right? So this tiny little bit of a range is a 1.3% move. Nothing has changed at all. So in my opinion, this is just normal back and forth between trading Bitcoin, trading altcoins. But on the altcoin charts, it looks very dramatic because most of these altcoin market caps are nowhere close to the size of Bitcoin. So it seems bigger than it really is.
Right. And it's important that Bitcoin has just continued to show strength during this time. I like how you're breaking it down, Trip, and putting it into perspective that these moves are just so minuscule for Bitcoin being such a massive asset now. And we're trying to stay chill, guys. I know if you go and you check out YouTube and you're like on crypto YouTube all day, you're going to have a hell of a ride. You're going to be on a roller coaster because you're going to have all kinds of emotions. The first one being altcoin season is dead, or this is not. I think it's going to stress you out. So our goal in this channel is to just try to keep it real, keep it cool, calm, and collected, and just keep our eyes on the prize without getting too sensational about it. Again, I'm an optimist. I really believe in this space, and I'm very long-term vision, but it's important to just kind of like break it down, like what's happening in the moment, why, what could we be prepared for? So we've just been very consistent in that message. James, you can tell you're a member of the group because you have that mentality. He says, yes, prepped and waiting, sitting on some recent gains, waiting to compound those gains if Bitcoin dominance breaks down. That is the mentality. Way to go, man. D-Tron, just wait until they lower interest rates. Cash is trash. Yeah, we went over that earlier in the episode. Cash is it's collapsing, right? The fiat market. It's not sustainable. And it's kind of like, where are you going to put your money? Like, why are you going to let it sit in cash? I mean, it's just, you're going to slowly lose all of the value. It's just insane. It's insane to watch, especially with the banks that defaulted, or when we had that whole like bank run in 2023. That's not just like a one-off thing. I think that's going to be happening more often now. And they haven't even lowered the rates. That's the thing. Like, we're looking at the charts, and this is what the charts show. The macroeconomic scale shows that we're just like getting to the tip of the iceberg here, right? Like, if interest rates are still high, we haven't had those cuts. Like, we are still even waiting for that injection, and yet here we are. It's astounding. It's astounding where we are. We have to keep that in the right perspective. So, Aussie, good day, everyone from Australia. Altcoin season loaded. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Like your mentality, like your positivity. Thank you for dropping by. XLM about to take off. I assume that's what you want to say, Watchman? Yeah. We're covering XRP today, but of course in the same ecosystem. Good evening, CM. Yeah, good evening, Crypto Invest. Thank you for tuning in. Train Tutor. Boomers should have to pay back the future they have stolen from us. Ooh, a little bit controversial here. And allowing our politicians to, pillage our country, economy, and minds. Okay, so look, like I think that things all just happen in phases, right? And the old ways, this is how I kind of like rationalize it out. The old ways are dying. We're going into the new ways. And it's not like an attack on any one person, association, or whatever it may be. It's just that we have the chance. I just like to look at it as like a positive way forward where we have a chance to get it right this time. And, we are trying, and collectively as a community of the most brilliant minds gravitating to this sector, leaving their jobs and their old traditional work and just coming here. Things are changing, you guys. Things are changing. And I'm just happy to welcome everyone on board who wants to be here. And it's just like, I commend you all, right? No matter where you came from, what your age is, it is astounding and amazing that you're here right now and wanting to be a part of this movement and this opportunity and change your life. So that's my 2 cents on that. XLM about to take off to 46 cents. Watchmen, you're all on the XLM. Let's see. DCA all the way. That's a really simple way to do it, Aussie. Set it and forget it. I like that one too. Midas mindset. We need to break point. Okay, so they're talking about XLM. We might have to bring that one up later. Can't wait for your live sessions. Please check XRP. Oh, so you have a whole list for us here, Baber Haiti. Well, we are going over XRP today, as well as HBAR and what was the other one, Trip? XRP?
Yeah, TFUEL.
TFUEL, yes. So we've had a lot of requests for TFUEL from our regulars, so that's what we're going to do. New subscriber, thanks, Aussie. Really appreciate you. Welcome on board. This train is not stopping for anyone, and it's about to leave the station. So I'm glad that you guys are all here and ready to go. So guys, smash a like if you appreciate the live and everything we're trying to do here. That's much appreciated. Fire setup. All right, let's go, Theta investor. TFUEL coming right up. XRP, HBAR, TFUEL, and Theta. Love that list. Love that list. All right, guys, we're going to get back to it because we're to the altcoin segment that you've all been waiting for. So let's do this.
Okay, so this is total 3 on the 1-day time frame, and the same thing, right? We were expecting this cup and handle to break to the upside after it broke above this white trend line, and now we're hitting resistance and getting a bit of a pullback. So this is completely normal TA-wise, right? You get a move to the upside and you get a relief, and then you get another move to the upside and then a relief. So from where we are now, I mean, we have to consider that this is just the beginning of an impulse wave, and we could see a pullback and then another kick higher. What really is going to determine whether or not altcoins are going to keep moving as quickly and as hard as they have been is if we break above this key resistance around that $1.13 trillion level that we've been talking about. So right now we're definitely seeing a bit of a cool down. People have been taking some profits. The thing that we're going to look for is the move down to local support if it happens. And across most altcoins, this could look like a fairly decent reset, especially on the indicators up to even maybe the 12-hour or the 1-day time frames. And those, again, are just going to be buying opportunities or buy the dip scenarios. So really using this chart as our overall guide of what altcoins could be doing. And the way it looks right now, like I was saying, this is completely normal. If you just look at the left side here, we had a bunch of times where we tried to break this level, but it took a little bit of time. There was some consolidation. It had to build a pattern. Over here, there was a double bottom. So back over here on this side, we could see something similar. You could get a pullback here, build some structure, and then take off for the next move. So it might not seem the most exciting times yet, but these are steps in the right direction. And if you make a plan like this, really you're going to make so much more money this way, because you know that you're entering your trade, you're taking profit. Now you're using that profit to buy back in lower, and you just keep repeating this cycle over and over. Sell at the tops, buy low, right? It's always the same idea over and over. And that's how you maximize the amount of profits you can make in a bull run.
Right. James has the mentality. James knows what's up. He's here each and every day. So we appreciate all you guys. But yeah, this is it. This is what we're doing in the group. And this is what we're, working so hard to achieve, is to maximize the gains, give you those tools to be able to do so. And honestly, Trip is talking about, building structure here on this local support before we take off. I mean, you should be more excited about that than if it goes up in a straight line. Right? Because you're building structure, you're building a foundation instead of a house of cards for this thing to really be able to take off in a healthier way. So if you are really an investor and a trader, that's something that would excite you if you had patience.
Right. If you're on the right side of the coin, right? So if you were one of the ones that were able to take profit, now you're sitting and you're happy, right? You've had a great time. If you're one of those people that have been holding and waiting for this to keep going, you have to suffer through these pullbacks, and that's just part of the game. So if you're an investor and you're sitting and watching at the charts and you're not actively trading it, you're going to have those depressing moments. It's just going to happen. So, being a trader gives you that bit of an edge where you can say, hey, I've made a bunch of money. I didn't take the entire move, right? Maybe you jumped in halfway into the move and you didn't catch the bottom and you didn't sell the top, but you made a big chunk of money in the middle. Now you can use that money to roll over into your next trade, and you got to keep that mentality going. There's really not much else to say about it. It's just, as a trader, you can take advantage of more of these movements. As an investor, you kind of got to sit through them.
Right. No, absolutely. And as an investor, that's why I like to have both. Right. So I have my one portfolio. I don't even really need to open that. I open that during, big moves that I've marked out, or, I am around this price, I might be selling some, right? Otherwise, I don't need to open that on a daily basis, and I don't need to worry about it. It's there. And then I can focus on my trading portfolio, which is what Trip is saying, right? And that way you can keep your emotions level, and you can do both, and you can have both, and you don't need to worry about FOMO or, getting too emotional about the ups and downs of this market.
Right. Yeah. Instead of trying to ride a coin from $1 up to $10, I think of how many opportunities can I get in and out of this trade to compound. And that's just the magic word that I always stick to, is focus on compounding more than trying to ride a whole trend from the lowest to the highest. If you're trying to do that, it's going to be rough. Like, it's not going to be a fun ride. You're going to be panicking when there's a bit of a pullback every time there's a pullback, and it's going to make you want to sell. And then you're going to miss the next move because you sold, and then it's running up high and you're paying a higher price to get back into the trade that you were already in, but you panicked and messed it up. So you don't want to be one of those people, like we said, you don't want to fumble the ball at this point. And that's how it happens. It's that emotional roller coaster that makes you say, I give up. This is crazy. I'm out. And then a week later, you're like, oh no, it's going back up. I'm going to jump back in. So you're missing out, right? You're not doing the same thing. You're basically selling low and then buying high. That's the opposite of what you want to be doing here.
Right. And it's okay if you have had that experience up until now, but it better stop here while you're tuning into this channel, and while you have the right guidance, and while you're able to take advantage of these streams. You have a chance to correct that and make it better for next time. And that's it. If you've done that in the past, over and out, let's build a new set of skills. Let's build a different mentality so you can start winning and crushing it in these markets. And Aussie, great TA, followed you both on X and shared the stream. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. We appreciate all the love and helping us grow this channel as we are doing these daily streams. So yeah, that goes a very long way. So thank you very much. And we'll get into XRP because everybody wants to know where to buy more. So let's see.
Right, XRP. So we had also talked about holding this level after the break above this previous high back here that we printed in January, and that was around the $3.40 mark. And we said, if you get a break below this level, that's going to create a bull trap, and that's a very bearish idea. So what happened? We created a bull trap, and you had a huge sell-off. It's not a surprise. It was actually very expected. This is your plan A, needs to hold, and then your plan B is, if it doesn't hold, expect a big move lower. So again, this is textbook reaction to what we were talking about already. We found local support around the $3 mark, so that's becoming our psychological support level for XRP, around $3. So the same thing goes back to the total 3 chart. If we start building some structure down here, I would expect XRP to also be building a little bit of structure here just the same. So maybe if you get a double bottom, maybe an inverse head and shoulders or something, a bottoming pattern essentially is what we're looking for. Maybe a triangle for a continuation pattern. We just don't have that data yet. So while you could buy the dip, I'd rather just wait to get into this trade to see what the structure looks like first. If we're going to roll over and make a deeper dip and come down to this support level around $2.64, then I'm looking for oversold conditions, and I'll be looking for bullish divergences, just like I do on almost every trade I've ever made. So really, these are just better buying opportunities if they happen. But also, we mentioned that the structure could change for this, for XRP, if this bull trap confirmed. And that's true. We're not going to get necessarily a bullish retest and a move to the upside with continuation. We might have to sit through some consolidation first before we get that next move to the upside or to the downside, right? There's 2 options here that we could see, but we don't have enough data yet to make that trade. So for me, I'm not sitting in XRP. I bought it down here when we broke this trend line. I'm going to draw that back in again. So we enter this trade, excuse me, at the very bottom. The profits that we generated from this trade up to the high so far was already about a 58% move, but I didn't catch the whole thing. I think I sold a little under this resistance, and I didn't catch all of this stuff on top. But am I worried? Not really. Now I can look back and say, well, that's great. It came back lower than where I sold at. So I'm happy, and I'm sitting on the side, and I'm waiting for my new entry. But I'm not going to try to front run something that I can't see what it is. I don't want to be in the dark trying to feel my way around. I'd rather have a flashlight at the very least to see what's going on in the darkness.
Right. So I think we did talk about this on yesterday's stream or a few streams ago, but we have AirSent here talking about leverage trades and leaving them open being dangerous at this point in time. What would you say about setting limit orders for spot versus leverage in this sort of market dynamic, and sort of when to jump back in?
Setting a limit order is fine, but I think some exchanges are limited to how you can set those orders. If you're setting a limit order to buy something at a certain price, it's nice to be able to have a stop loss set in that same order. So if you're not managing your risk while setting limit orders, you're really kind of gambling still. You don't know exactly how deep that pullback's going to be. But again, if your long-term goal is just to buy the pullbacks, then that could be fine. That could be a great strategy. As a trader, I think it's a little too risky. Some people may find that it works and you could get lucky, but you really have to know what you're doing to say that I'm going to set my limit order down here when it gets there, and I'm going to know that it's going to hold that support, because you really don't. So you're kind of flipping a coin to say that these limit orders are going to be the end all of that downtrend, and we're going to see upside from that level only. So, it can work for some people. I don't do it myself, though, personally.
So potentially better way to do it in these types of conditions when we're waiting for to bottom out and sort of find a foundational ground before continuing either to the up or to the downside, is to let it build a little bit of structure first.
Right. Yeah. So I usually enter a trade when we're closer to the oversold conditions anyways. Once it goes above 50, I potentially say that I've missed that trade and I'll look for something else, or I'll wait for the pullback that more agrees or aligns with my style of trading. So the closer you can buy to the bottom means that the better your risk is going to be. So if you're oversold on the 4-hour, 8-hour, and the 12-hour, and you're getting in close to the bottom of that support that could be building, then your risk is going to be a lot lower than trying to buy halfway up or even closer to the top or the breakout of that next level. So it's really about how much risk am I willing to take to get into this trade? So really, if you're buying closer to those oversold levels with some bullish divergence, you have a much higher chance of it actually going up from where you bought it, instead of just taking a risk and hoping that it goes up from where you bought it.
Right. No, and those are this is gold, guys. This sort of not recommendation, but tips on how to get in, right? On what to look for, on, there's just so many different factors. It's not just one thing, right? Look for all of these different indicators, and then pair it with your analysis or what you're doing, and find the sort of middle ground where you can say, okay, this is a generally good time, and be rational about it. But yeah, I like that Trip, for getting in during oversold conditions. And if possible bullish divergence or bearish divergence, depending on the direction.
Right. So like that's where looking at multiple different time frames is going to give you more of an edge too. So if you're stuck looking at the 1 hour chart and you don't see oversold conditions or any divergences, and then you go up to your higher time frames and you're like, well, actually, we're on the bottom of a big pullback. You should be paying attention to the higher time frames for those clues. The 1 hour might not give you enough information of where the bounce is going to be. So that's where the higher time frames are definitely necessary. You can split up the trend into minor, intermediate, and primary. So if you were just to draw it on a chart really quickly, just to give you guys an example, the minor trend is all this stuff. All of these little moves is the minor trend along the way, okay? It's a bunch of noise and it just goes, does whatever it wants to in that minor trend. And then in your intermediate trend, I can't change the color yet. The intermediate trend is your swings along the way, okay? So it's not as noisy, but it's the intermediate trend. So that's the middle of the trends, really. I don't know how else to say it. So we'll label that white. And then your primary trend is going to be, I actually have to zoom out first. Your primary trend is going to be your bigger swings. So it's going to look something like this. And I'll change the color back to something else. There we go. All right, so those are your three different trends. If you're looking at the smaller time frames, you're focused on the red trend. If you're looking at your medium range time frames, you're looking at the white trend on the slightly bigger swings. And then if you're on the really high time frames, like the 12-hour, 1 day, or the weekly, you're focused on the yellow trend, which is your biggest swings altogether. So you have to find divergences not only on the minor, not only on the intermediate, you want to see if they're on the primary at the same time. And you just want to make sure that your primary trend is in an uptrend. And that's really the goal. So once you've established that your primary trend is going up overall, then you can have more confidence looking at the intermediate trend for trend changing ideas. So with XRP, your primary trend made a huge move up, huge move down, another huge move up. And at the same time, the signal for this primary trend to change down here was your white trend, right? So you had all these noisy moves, made highs and then lower lows and lower highs. Then I made another high and something changed over here. You made a higher low than this previous low. So the intermediate trend was the catalyst for the primary trend to continue higher. So you can do this on all different kinds of time frames paired up, right? There's a minor, an intermediate, and primary trend on your 5-minute to 15-minute charts, and then your 1 hour to 4 hour charts, and then your 4 hour to 12-hour charts for your primary trend. So once you put all those pieces together, you start to see that the trend is either intact or what has really changed overall in the big picture, medium picture, and the smaller picture. So you have to be able to see all three of those trends to make your best informed decisions.
Wow, I like that. That was actually very, very helpful, just to sort of contextualize it and get better perspective on like how much noise there is depending on the time frame, and being able to look at that bigger picture at the same time. Trips tips, I like it. Woo, XLM. Watchman is all over XLM. So yeah, they do tend to move together, not exactly at the same time, but they're in the same ecosystem, so to speak, as far as like narratives. Maybe we'll get to that chart in a minute. I think we can get to the next chart on that now, Trip, right? We've got
Sure.
TFUEL, Theta people.
TFUEL.
Let us know if you're in the house. I know we've been getting a lot of requests for TFUEL. So if they're not in the house right now, we will timestamp this so they can go back and watch it. Megan, love seeing spelled out with those lines. Yeah, that was really helpful. That's tips trips. Trips tips. Oh my god. Which is what Air said. Yeah, I like that. I like it. So it's very helpful to be able to visualize that. Yeah, the trend is your friend. Yes, trips, tips, great explanation. All right, Trip, we got to do more of those.
Right. Well, a lot of that stuff's covered in the group in quite great detail. So I think a lot of people, if you're just watching the stream, this is just a tiny portion of the stuff that we're talking about on a daily basis in the group. So it's really about repetition. Once you see it a bunch of times and then you see the evidence over and over, it really starts to click more and more.
Yeah, I like what Megan says here. It's like taking a bird's eye view instead of being caught up in the little moves. Yeah, you can zoom into the little moves if you're looking to like exit or enter. But in order to like understand where you're at, it's important to like zoom out a little bit and just look at it at a higher time frame to understand what exactly is going on. So absolutely.
Right. So yeah, back to TFUEL. We're still waiting for this to break higher. Not a lot of coins are below the 1-day 200 MA still, but there is definitely a handful that haven't made that move above it yet. So you're still waiting for that confirmation above the 200 MA, and it's also lining up with this horizontal resistance for this bottom of the range resistance level here. So that's at about 0.42 cents already. And really, we're just waiting to see what's going to happen here. And also, it's funny because yesterday we were talking about Theta, and we were saying pay attention to this mirrored effect that often shows up in the charts. So I'm just going to draw this in again really quickly just to show you where the mirror is that I see on TFUEL. So we're aiming for about the middle of the chart here, and then we're going to clone this thing, and we're going to make it a different color as well. Actually, first I'm going to flip it from left to right, and then I'll make it yellow, I guess. And we're just going to apply that back over here. So the mirrored effect that I'm talking about is once you find the middle of the structure, you'll start seeing that the swings sort of follow along on the right side, just like they did on the left side. So what we're focusing on here, like we were talking about with Theta, is if you get this small flag at resistance on the right side over here. So that would be this chunk mirroring this chunk back here. So we could potentially be getting ready for the next move up for TFUEL coming fairly soon. Maybe you get a retest of the 50 MA before it takes off. But in my opinion, it looks like it's really close to making that final move before we get the breakout. If you were to zoom into this area, like we're going to now, we're going to see if there's any kind of structure. So it's exactly what I think Megan was talking about. Yes, so Megan Moss. That's exactly it. We take the bird's eye view first, and then we zoom in to see if there's any structure that we can trade. So we don't have a perfect wedge here yet. Well, maybe we do. We'll draw it in and see how it looks. So maybe you get a falling wedge like this, right? So now you got a 1-hour chart showing you somewhat of a bullish idea. These falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside than they do to the downside. So if you wanted to get into this trade before it breaks above resistance, using the idea we just talked about where we think it's mirroring this side over here, we're looking at the same idea on this side for this falling wedge to break out higher. So you can get into this trade a little earlier by watching for a breakout of this wedge, and maybe if you want to add to your position once it's broken above that key level up here at that 0.42 cent mark.
Wow, Trip is feeling generous today because he's giving you a lot of inside tips that we discussed in the group. The mirror effect. Let me know if you guys like that in the comments. Like just looking at these trades with that mirror image really helps also with the perspective. And we've been mapping that out in group. It's really interesting. TFUEL looks like it's on the verge of doing something explosive again, potentially with a potential golden crossing coming. I know the Theta community will be really excited about this. And we did just get the tweet from Mitch Liu, which I shared yesterday, which says by the time we're done here at Theta Network, TFUEL is going to be doing something insane, right? It was along those lines. I shared that tweet yesterday. So yeah, this might be one to watch for sure, guys, for sure.
Right, yeah. So TFUEL definitely is on our radar. I think there's also some limitations to where you can buy it depending on where you live. I don't know if that's still true, but I remember some people messaging me a while ago saying they can't find TFUEL on the charts or they were restricted from trading it in the US. So if you guys know about that, send us a message and let us know about that. I'm just kind of curious if that's still true. But
you
otherwise,
can buy Theta swap as well.
Right, yeah. There's probably a chance you can use DEXs and whatever too to get some Theta TFUEL as well.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, Theta Investor says AWS of Theta. I made a video where I actually referred to that. And yeah, the infrastructure potentially, of course. Yeah, big things coming for this. So it's fun to see a chart that looks like this that's potentially still hasn't made its bigger move like a lot of the coins in the market.
Right, yeah. So like we were saying, this is a good opportunity to get in before the actual break. You get a slightly better price. It just means more upside potential for you. So even from the breakout of this pattern, we'll do a quick measure on the price range. We'll say it breaks out somewhere down here, and you'd be missing out on almost 10% gains. Oops, I didn't mean to get rid of that. Potentially about 10% gains if you were to enter on the break of this wedge if it happens. This doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start adding it up over time, that 10% is going to be compounded over time and add on an extra sweetener to that trade overall.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is looking good. I'm excited about this trade. We will follow this in group. And yeah, I know there's usually a lot of Theta people in the house, so we'll timestamp these. I'm going to do my best to do it as quickly as possible after we finish so that people can see this after the fact as well. So last but not least, we got HBAR in the house. A lot of people love HBAR, including myself. Think it's going to be very well this cycle. So let's have a look at where it's at.
Right, so HBAR, it's getting a pullback just like most of the market is, and we're testing this level of support where this single wick seems to be what's holding it up at this level. In my opinion, that's kind of a bullish idea because it didn't come all the way down to the key support level where you saw most of these candle body closes back here. It was able to hold right at the wick of that previous high, which is the neckline of this double bottom pattern. So I'm actually pretty zoomed out here just to show you where the targets that we're looking at. The 2.0 is around 67 cents, the 1.618 at 57 cents, and the 1.272 at about 47 cents. But we're going to zoom back in here and just to give you a better idea. And just so you can see this retest here at this level. What you're looking for on HBAR is the same thing as XRP, essentially. You want to see some kind of structure form down here. Maybe if you get a double bottom, that would be a great idea to get into. But as it looks right now, you're already getting some buy pressure from the support. And that's what these long wicks are. It just means that in the past, basically 18 hours, there's still 6 hours left of this one-day candle to form. So people have already been buying up this dip. They've already been taking advantage of that, to those cheaper prices to get into. So if we zoom into the 1 day, or sorry, zoom into the 1 hour, we don't have a ton of structure yet. Maybe this is a falling wedge as well. We're going to try to draw this in. Now, again, for now, these are just ideas. We don't have a ton of that structure to draw in yet, but it's something you can keep an eye on. So we'll try to make a nice channel out of this. And again, I usually try to go for parallel channels more than anything. So we'll see if there is a nice looking channel here. And it looks like there's a decent one forming so far. So again, you could look for a breakout of this channel or a break above the 200 MA. I think this is just the 1 hour 200 MA. I don't put a lot of faith in the breakouts of the 1 hour 200, but in some cases, it can be a good catalyst for entry. So if this 1 hour 200 MA was to eventually come down a little lower and line up better with this upper trend line, then you've got a trend line break, you've got the 200 MA break, and I think we can also add a horizontal level. So here you had resistance, over here it was support. That would also line up pretty much in this area. So you'd have a horizontal break, trend line break, 200 MA break. You're satisfying a lot of traders who are trading one or the other. So I think that's definitely one to pay attention to, at least on the 1 hour chart for the short-term entry idea for HBAR.
Wow, a lot of ideas to unpack in this episode. I like what you just said, satisfying a lot of different types of traders, because this is also about what other people are looking at and thinking, not just you as a trader, right? So that's part of this strategy. So HBAR, I'm very excited. HBAR is powering a lot of interesting things and in the institutional space. And Jack is got his finger on the pulse here. Did you see Hedera as part of a bid for TikTok? I did not see that. You got to do a super deep dive for it to make sense, but almost all parties involved in the sale of TikTok US have a financial interest in Hedera. I mean, a lot of the bigger institutional investors are look at Kevin O'Leary. Is like he says it's one of his biggest holdings. I mean, this has got a lot of interest among a lot of different profiles, and probably for good reason. I mean, it's a really solid chain and it's doing a lot of big things. So I'm super bullish on HBAR. Andrew says, stepped away for a moment, but nice to see HBAR. Yeah, that's okay. You stepped away at the right moment, because now we're going to wait for that structure. We're going to wait for this bullish change in behavior and break above this falling wedge or whatever it may be, all the stuff that Tripp said. And yeah, so Dogecoin says, Aussie, yeah, we covered Doge yesterday. We are following Doge in a group. Once Doge starts to break and like literally go to that stratosphere, that's when, alts start to really wake up. So we know that Doge is going to have a good run, and we're following that in the group. Andrew, TikTok bid with HBAR was in partnership with OnlyFans. Oh, interesting. I know the OnlyFans CEO from Money 2020, back when I was helping with the blockchain tracks for the FinTech show. It's one of the biggest in the world, not the biggest. And yeah, I met her there. I believe it's her, or maybe she was like the co-founder or something. Graham, good morning. Welcome. We're just about to finish up, but you can listen to the recap and I'll try to timestamp it for you. But it's great to be able to say hello and wish you a very wonderful day. So yeah, Tripp, I'm loving these charts. I love the tips you gave. There was a lot of value in this episode. So really appreciate it. Yeah, Andrew, I know you're looking forward to that flare. I am too, actually, because we're making a whole presentation on it, and I really am pushing my team. I really want them to get that done so I can come out and let you guys know, because it's also a precursor to our own project, right? And in doing so, I'm educating about the Flare network and why we built on it and what they're doing. So there's so much to unpack. I've just got to do deep dives on all of these, especially these bigger contenders, and I will do that. And then we'll pair it with the charts and see what we get. So on that note, Trip, any closing thoughts before we end this wonderful Thursday stream?
Yeah, the only thing you need to really pay attention to right now is focusing on Bitcoin dominance. So if we do get this confirmed bearish retest, and it's starting to look pretty good as a bearish retest for now, even the next move lower would essentially equate to the same move to the upside. If we get that equivalent to the downside again, then pretty much it's a reverse effect of what already happened when the altcoins sold off. We could be getting that same amount of money coming back into the altcoins, and that would just look like a retest on most of the altcoin setups that we've shown so far. The one thing we need to pay attention to, though, is if we break below the 0.5 fib level and the 1 week 50 SMA, that could lead to a much bigger move in the altcoin market than most people are expecting. So once we get to this level, that's when we'll start paying attention to that idea. But right now, we need to see at least some downtrend continuation from this level to confirm that bearish retest at resistance.
Right. So keeping an eye on that level is key, and don't fumble the ball, guys. Don't fumble the ball. Keep tuning into these each and every day. Get ready. Start mapping out your strategy. Join the group. Tune into the lives. You know the drill. And like and subscribe, and just lots of love and good vibes to all of you this amazing Thursday. And I do want to tell you, tomorrow we're going to start the stream at 8:45 on the dot PST, because I got an important event tomorrow night, but I don't want to cut the stream short. And we're going to give away a month of membership to our group, just like we did last Friday. Well, that member doesn't use Telegram, but we are going to give him Patreon when we start the Patreon. So tomorrow we'll be doing a giveaway 1 month to our trading group, our premium trading group, the Capital Mindset. So please do tune in. Oh, it's late for you, Aussie. I'm sorry. You might have to pull an all-nighter. I'm just saying, our Fridays have been like master classes. Last Friday was astounding. I mean, it was really cool, and a lot of people got a lot of value. So yes, tomorrow is going to be a special, very fun day. Do tune in and have a wonderful day wherever you're at in the world. And we will see you tomorrow.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Take care.